Logitech made a deal with us, and they were like, "Hey, we'll develop more sound canceling headphones if you guys promote them. The more kids you have."
So
that's why we're having more kids.
Yeah, just stick them on stage.
Yeah,
they're there for ad purposes.
Yeah. Ryan has a stepson, and he was like, "Just wear it. Just wear it. Just wear it. It's good. It's good for it's bringing money in. It's paying the bills." Yeah.
This is Rob Ruckus.
Hey, this is Kate Clover.
Hey guys, it's Nick Collins here from The Effect and Better Strangers.
Hi, my name is Madeline Rose.
Hey, it's Ben McKelvey.
It's Tim Howard here from Mike and the Mechanics.
Hello, I'm Amanda Lehman.
I'm Billy Harvey.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Casey Sampson from the band Twist Stop.
Hey, it's Tony from Fastball.
Hello, everybody. My name is Isaiah Mitchell.
Hey, guys, it's Matt here from the White Lakes.
You're listening to Almost Famous Magazine.
Come join us for this interview. Check it out, Almost Famous Magazine.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Hang on Almost Famous Magazine. I'm your host, Scott Saldinger. Every week, we hang with artists and musicians from around the world, learning their stories, across every genre, across countries. You name it, we get a chance to learn about them and share it with you. If you're new to the podcast, please, you know what you're supposed to do. Subscribe. Share this with your friends if you like what we're doing. It really helps us. And believe it or not, it helps the artists as well when people are out searching for them. So we appreciate it. Also, for those of you who like to listen to your podcast and not see this gorgeous face and those gorgeous faces over there, you can now take us on the go with you. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more. On today's episode of The Hang, we're sitting down with a band called Love. And by the time we're done, you're going to love them. The band members include Ryan Chandler Love. I have a feeling we may know where the name came from. Guitarist, producer Ian Joshua Riley. Blake Aldridge is on guitar. Brooks Roberts on bass. And Austin, let me hope I do not mess this up, Yeagle? Yeagle?
Yeah, you almost. The first it was Yeagle. Yeah,
Yeagle. Okay. He's on drums, okay? And they become one of Atlanta's fastest rising alternative acts. The band was born in 2020 from the creative partnership between Ryan and Ian, who are joining us today. And they've grown into a powerhouse lineup that quickly went from a studio project to selling out their debut show in 2021. With their new EP, Thriving Season, we're going to dive into the origins of the band, their evolution, how they're creating great music that you should be listening to. Ryan and Ian, welcome to The Hang.
Thank you for having us.
Seriously, thank you.
It's cool to be here.
Absolutely. I was listening to the EP and I really enjoy it. And I may, when we get into some of the songs, categorize things a little differently than you guys have them, but I hear certain things that may justify what I'm thinking. But you know, we always like to start with, how did this happen? How did this come together? How did you find each other? What is your musical history together? And we ended up where we are today. So tell me the story.
Yeah. You want to start?
No, you got it. So Ian, I will start by saying this. Ian is, he's our band encyclopedia. If we need any date, any kind of memory pulled up, we don't have to go back to Facebook or anything like that. I can typically just ask.
I've got everything archived by the year to the month, typically. To just go back with mine and Ryan's friendship and our musical partnership, we met in the early 2010s in the Atlanta music scene. And if you know anything about the Atlanta music scene, it's the most eclectic, sprawling, awesome. I always go on record saying it's the best music scene in the world, and it's the most diverse stylistically by far. So we were in emo and post-hardcore bands in our late teens. That was kind of the cultural zeitgeist. We're in our early 30s right now. So around that time we were it was the late 2000s, and we were playing in bands that were kind of around post-hardcore and whatnot. And then as that kind of thing changed in our early 20s, late teens, early 20s, he and I kind of both were in these two separate bands that were more indie rock, post-rock. I was in a band called Inveritas. He was in a band called Lorraine, who's still active. Shout out Lorraine. They're awesome. Lorraine. They're amazing. They're like explosions in the sky, but really pretty cinematic music.
They're putting out a record soon too. So.
Yeah, exactly. And so Ryan was their drummer and one of their principal composers. And I just, but he had this solo project that was just called Distances, which I have a CD of right here. Funny enough. And it was funny because it was just singer songwriter acoustic, but it was he played all the instruments. It was he was just this amazing drummer and composer. And I was like, dude, this guy's like an emo Phil Collins with this insane, but he had this soulful voice, that was just so very his. And And I was like, no, like, I know, I'm just saying, I'm more talking about you than distances. But yeah, long story short, it was like 2014 ish. Like my old band was breaking up, and we basically were kind of like trying to figure out, like, I was the front man of that band. I wanted to really move to just guitar, and we were just trying to figure out, okay, well, we need a singer. And so I was like, well, Ryan from Lorraine, he's a singer. And they were like, he is? Because he was a drummer. And they were like, just so fascinated with that. And I was like, yeah, no, let's have him come try out. And we just like clicked. I was like, what if we, but around that same time too, I was already trying to make music with him on the side, like from my band, being like, hey, what if we did a double like little solo project that was just us in the studio where we wrote and recorded everything. Funny enough, that's where we first conceived the name Thriving Season. And so that goes all the way back like a decade. But yeah, from then on, we kind of like, we didn't lose touch, but life just kind of took us both in different directions. We didn't end up doing that first band at all. Yeah. You know, his band at the time, they had like signed with a label to put out some stuff. And then they broke up for a period. And then I kind of got full time into production and songwriting. And like my career very quickly went from like, I dropped out of college to I became a full-time record producer and whatnot. So around 2018, you know, Ryan gets out of this relationship he was in. He calls me and he's like, hey, you know, I remember you said if I ever wanted to do music again, to give you a call. And he's like, well, I have this project, and it was originally just going to be solo. And it was just, he's like, but I want to like really produce it up. I want you to play in the band. But I want to do the music thing for real. Yeah. And I want to just do these songs that I believe in that are, you know, they have wide reach, potential mass appeal, but they're not, and they're pop essentially, but I just want to do what I believe in. Like, I don't want to try to write just like garbage to sell out. You know what I mean? Like I want to write like, and try to shoot for the stars. And I was like, let's do it. So that project very quickly morphed from him solo into a band called Love. Cause it was funny. We were like trying to figure out how to market Ryan Love, which we figured out later was just add his middle name. Cause there's, lo and behold, there are hundreds of thousands of white dudes on the internet named Ryan Love. So, big surprise. But the funniest thing in the world to me was that, we kind of figured out, you know, Love would be an adequate like name kind of thing. Like it's just that being part of the branding I thought was cool because it was his last name. And I still to this day don't remember how the conversation went exactly.
I remember we were on the phone.
Yeah, we were spitballing.
We were just spitballing ideas for names and stuff.
Yeah.
And neither of us can exactly remember who came up
who
with
said
it,
what.
Who said
yeah.
what, but what somebody was just like, why don't we just call it a band called Love?
Yeah. Or it was like something like, I wish we could be a band called Love.
Which I'm happy with the name, but in hindsight, people are getting confused. Obviously it's like, and we're sticking to it.
We're exactly. I mean? We're sold on it now. I think, like, we have to say a band called Love now,
which is just like a mouthful.
It's been to the credit of you know, our publicist and everyone else who's involved too. It's been great for our SEO because there's no one else on the internet called a band called Love. It's like we don't have to put a band called Love Band or a band called Love Music. Like we're the only a band called Love in existence, and if you Google us, that's all there is for pages. So it worked out in our favor. But it was funny that we were basically like, oh well, we can't be Ryan Love, we can't be the Ryan Love Band. Well, what if we were like, I wish we could be a band called Love, and then the other dude was like, whoever it was in the conversation was like, that's it. And we were like, you know, and sure enough, it worked out. ABCL became a cool acronym too. So funny enough, there's 2 emojis on iMessage that have that. And so, yeah, from there, we recorded a handful of singles at the studio I used to work at here in Buford called Toast and Jam Studio. Our friend Dom owns it. It's in a different location now, in Atlanta. But we basically just kind of picked together some of our favorite songs from the batch, and we released our debut single, Colors Bloom, in January 2020, right before the pandemic happened. Like literally right as we're like figuring out, okay, can we play shows? My wife and I were about to get married, and then I was about to be on tour with a different band that we were friends with, and for like the whole year, and all those plans came to a screeching halt. So basically we were just like, well, we're already music producers and this is like my job. Like, you know, it slowed down a lot around that time in terms of work. And I got a lot into digital marketing around that time, but we basically were just like, if we're going to just hole up, we might as well write and record as much as we possibly can. Yeah. So that's about the skinny of how it got formed. We've been friends for a long time in the scene, but really trying to like crystallize this particular project really began in the late 2010s, kind of in our mid 20s. Like we were kind of figuring out like what is a project where we're uncompromising and make exactly the music we want to make, but also make stuff that we believe has potential to reach like a much wider audience than just the kind of more niche stuff we were playing before. So that's kind of how A Band Called Love was born. And then the pandemic, weirdly enough, became this perfect incubator for us to like build the brand on the internet. And
Incubator. It was incubated all right, the whole thing. It incubated in all of us.
Quite literally. Both a virus on a global level and our music.
I'm wondering if you didn't plan it that way. I'm not saying that there should be another conspiracy theory around it, but still,
it's me. I did it. I did COVID, so our band could be big. And clearly it's worked out great because we're only just now releasing our debut EP.
The good thing is you aligned yourself with something that's got some legs to it. So there's not going anywhere
exactly.
fast.
But that's about the, I'd say like the from point A to point B of how we became a band. And then it became a matter of us playing live shows. And we were like, well, let's just assemble a group of our friends from other bands. So it was funny for the first several shows. And by the third show, it included Brooks and Blake, who now play with us. Blake was actually on drums at first because he's like a world-class drummer. And he's like, he's toured the planet with like some of our friends. But he's also an old friend of mine who I've known longer than Ryan from our same music scene. Funny enough, ex-members of his old band were in Ryan's old band. So it's all very incestuous in the Atlanta scene. Everyone's been in each other's bands. But what was cool is the first several shows were like kind of like local super groups, like our friend Sam from the band the Callous Daoboys, who are a much bigger band that we had the privilege of working on their second record, and now they just got back from Europe and they're about to leave for a headlining tour. But he was our drummer for the first couple shows, and then like it was our friend Andrew Simmons, who's a producer from Greenville, played keys and backing guitar for us. Our friend Julian from the band Stay Here played guitar for us, and we were basically just kind of like live we were a super group, but it was me and Ryan on record, so it was kind of like Tears for Fears, kind of in a way, but like a little more kind of like in the alt sphere. And then as we kind of built the band, we eventually got Brooks and Blake and then Austin, and then at different points each one of them, we always make the joke that each one of them kind of had like separate conversations with us where they like professed their love about the band, like where they were like they're our best friends, but they were like, hey, I'd love to be more a part of the creative process and involved. They're like, this is my band too, essentially. And we thought that was awesome because I always say we never thought we could get other people to care about our proverbial musical baby as much as we did. And these three guys are our best friends, and they were like, no, we want this to be the band. You know what I mean? So that's how we formed the 5-piece.
It's starting to sound like people have their emotional support animals. It's starting to sound like an emotional support band.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, no, literally, like for essentially, like it literally became like a life group for us on some level, because we all survived the pandemic, like relationships and stuff like that. We all, like, three of us got married in that time. We've all three of us, me, Blake, and Austin, us and our wives have all had between us we have 5 babies now. Like, I have a toddler daughter, they have 2 daughters, or they each have a daughter, and they each just had sons this year. And so we were like, great, perfect timing to start a serious band, a serious career band. You know what I mean? But we're all in on it too. That's the interesting thing, is there's a lot of stereotypes where people who've been full-time in music in their 20s, like us, who just kind of did the thing, either producing or touring. There's always a stigma, I think, sometimes of like, once you're in your 30s, if you haven't gone somewhere with it, then you kind of relegate yourself to either management, booking agent, stay a producer or something like that, be a songwriter, and then you don't really pursue the serious band thing because everyone's like settling down and having kids. But we just doubled down on it. All 5 of us are like, this is the career path we want to take, and everything we do is already full-time music anyway. So we were like, we might as well, and we believe in the songs. And that's kind of why we waited until now to really, we've got 3 EPs in the chamber. I feel comfortable saying that now. The Thriving Season is like our EP that's like out, and it's our first offering. That's like our proverbial charcuterie board of what we sound like. But we've got 3 more EPs in the chamber, one that's currently being worked on, and we're just trying to roll it out and see what happens, and just kind of like, see if we can get onto, get into the general zeitgeist. And I think it's funny too, because you mentioned, like, it's kind of like everyone's like, emotional support band like in the band, it kind of like literally became that for us. It's like it's been this weird focal point of all of our lives where it's like at the very least, like when things are going wrong, like we have our families and we have the band, which is usually not always how it goes.
I think you need a couple of things. Number one, you talk to your publicist, because I think from now on your press releases should be the charcuterie board of music. I think that would be, you guys need to own that shit, okay? And then also with all those kids, did you guys get a discount on all of those like mini headsets that you got to put on the kids to keep their ears protected at shows? I mean, five at one time.
We're actually sponsored by the company that made. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah. Logitech made a deal with us, and they were like, "Hey, we'll develop more sound canceling headphones if you guys promote them. The more kids you have." So that's why we're having more kids. Yeah.
Stick them on
there
stage.
You go.
Yeah.
They're for ad purposes.
Yeah. Ryan has a stepson, and he was like, "Just wear it. Just wear it. Just wear it. It's good for it's bringing money in. It's paying the bills." Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Hey, so let's talk about the charcuterie board of sound. Because like I'm interested, I'm going to start this piece off with who have been the influences that you and the other band members have had that you try to bring into your music. Tell me about those influences, and then I'm going to give you my impression of things.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so when we first started all of this, I think for me, specifically with a lot of the songs on the EP, it was kind of my first stab at just kind of sitting down and writing something from scratch. But I was listening to a lot of Radiohead and Coldplay at the time, and specifically the Live in Buenos Aires CD that Coldplay has. And I was just like, it was just I don't know what it was about that record that was just so inspiring to me, but I was like, man, I want to write something like this, because it just makes the way that it makes me feel, unabashedly a Coldplay fan, by the way. Just don't care. It's fine. I've embraced my my heritage. And but
well, I mean, you haven't caused any divorces lately, have you?
No, I'm just kidding. I was just kidding. No, I'm joking. I'm just joking. Not that I'm aware of, anyway. But
good to know.
So no, I mean, I was listening to that record a lot, and there's just something about the positivity that Chris Martin can just kind of give to his audience. Like, there's something there that I was like, I would love to do something like this and make something that sounds as anthemic and just beautiful and just make people like something that makes me happy. If I feel that emotion, maybe other people will feel this. And then you get to like darker songs on the EP, like or darker, I guess, in like theme and tone, yeah. And with Love I Can't Let Go, I was about to call it something else, yeah. Once you get into those songs like that, I really love the rhythmic aspect of that Radiohead has. Like, there's always I feel like, I don't know this for certain, but I feel like they write their music around like rhythm, and like that's the focus. And then after that, they just kind of add stuff on top of that, see what they can write. But so that's kind of what I tried to do with we all tried to do for this EP, and in a lot of ways. It's like I love that I wanted to do something that was relatively rhythmic based, but also something that was just beautiful simultaneously, and invoke the positive emotion from people. Right. And I
think a mantra for us too, like, largely became because Ryan and I write the majority of the lyrics together. There's some songs where he'll write fully finished songs, like our debut song Colors Bloom was just, he wrote that completely, and then we built the music together in the studio. Yeah. But then there's a lot of songs where he'll come with like a fully finished song idea, but most of the time when we're like composing music from the start, we write a lot of the lyrics pretty 50-50, I'd say. Yeah. Like and the idea became like so much of like what he was talking about like embodying that positivity and that like hope aspect. We were like, the joke I always have between me and him and like with other people is like, because it's a meme kind of joke that people will say, because like, of course all songs ideally are like about something, but we really like to deliberately write songs that are very about something, where there's like it's not like, even if it's on the nose or even if it's more metaphorical, there's a specific topic we're tackling and we're trying to say something. Like, ultimately, like, it's like we don't want to just make like there's a time and place for kind of the more just bubblegum pop stuff that is like, I like a lot of that stuff that's just kind of like for fun dance music, and we've even taken our stab at that kind of stuff. Like we enjoy a lot of that kind of music, but a lot of our songs are, even the ones that are more kind of relaxed or loose and vibey, we're trying to write stuff that is kind of trying to hopefully speak a message that has like an actual degree of truth to it, and where people can like to take something away from it either at face value, or they're just like, or they're projecting their own emotions and experiences onto it. And it's not to, and speaking to what you said about that Coldplay, like I think it was live in Buenos Aires or Sao Paulo. I don't remember, somewhere in Brazil.
I think it was.
But that record is so interesting because it goes through their whole discography, and no one's a stranger to Coldplay, even if they don't like Coldplay. But it's cool because what I loved about that record was live you heard all of these top 40 hits that they've had over like 2 decades of a career that they've had, but it bridged so many genres. Like that was the other thing too that we were so attracted to, was like the internet has labeled us pop and all of our metadata says pop, and that's fine. We'll own pop because pop is not really a genre. Pop is like alternative or indie, where it's like very broad in terms of what it can encompass. And for all intents and purposes, we have verse, chorus, verse songs. So yeah, we can be pop, and Ryan's got a soulful, really pretty voice. So, but to that end, what I like is that musically, because his voice is the glue tying everything together, when he and I are writing and producing music, we can kind of go anywhere we want genre wise. And Coldplay and Radiohead and bands like, for us, the 1975, even like more stuff in the alt realm, like I'd say like Bring Me the Horizon or like Enter Shikari, stuff like that was very instrumental in us like realizing, genre barriers are very arbitrary. Like they're like, we can kind of like do electronic and indie and acoustic and pop and alternative and heavy, right? And we can just do it all from the outset. That way, 5 albums into our career, people aren't complaining, they changed their sound and like now they're like trying to be pop, or now they're trying to be heavy, or what. We're doing whatever we want from the beginning. And we hope that the EP and every bit of work we do after this kind of really says that statement for us without us having to say it ourselves. Right. You know what I mean? So I would say that's been a lot of the guiding principle so far.
And I think too, what's cool, and not to stay on this subject too much longer, but like I think it's cool too because now that we've added the other members that are in a band called Love now, that I guess it's only going to expand, I guess, genre-wise from there, because Austin and Brooks have their own influences. Yeah. We all love Foo Fighters and because of them, and so. What's going to be really cool too is like these next EPs that are going to come out and stuff really are going to have that much more of their fingerprint on it than these. So, yeah.
Well, and I'll be honest. I mean, very good job name dropping and Easter egging face value, going back to your emo Phil Collins reference earlier. That was a very well placed little drop there. No, look, I was gonna say, I mean, your press release says alt and rock, but there's definitely some pop going on in there, some other things happening in your music for sure. And I think your description really fits the bill. I mean, you guys do have a versatility. What gets me about the EP, and we're going to hit on a couple of songs here, is your use of punctuation. Love has a period at the end of it. A liar has an exclamation point. Infinite is in all caps. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a detail, and a small detail, but definitely noticeable, because you're making a statement, I think. So like, from each of you, which is your favorite song on the EP to tell people about? Because we don't play music here because we don't want to get, we don't want to run into the same issues that other people are having with copyright hits. So tell each of you, tell a story about your favorite song on the EP so people get familiar and want to go out and buy it.
I think I know what yours is. So can I go with mine first? Yeah. I would say if it's not cheating to bundle the first 2 tracks, because the first track is only 40 seconds long and they're intrinsically a part of each other. I love, because I made a whole video about it that went like semi-viral, and that's been a big part of our initial marketing campaign push, was using that video. But it's not like a music video, it's just like a little promo video, but it works. We get fans off of it. I would say Love and Infinite are my 2 personal favorites. One, because I have a deep connection to Infinite because Infinite, not that version on the EP, but the version that's on Spotify right now, was kind of, I'd been producing records for a long time up to that point, but that was my first stab at like me recording at home and doing all the instruments myself. Like literally I wrote that whole idea from scratch from a little idea.
He literally sent me the instrumental and he was like, hey, is this something? And I was like, yeah, dude, it absolutely is.
And he came up with the vocal melodies and we wrote the lyrics together. Infinite is a very important song that threefold lyrically means a lot to me. It's expressing a lot, but so that I'm not overly projecting my own emotions and experiences on it to make people feel what I feel. What I often do with that song and the way we marketed it the first time we released it was I often say, like, I hope the song makes you feel alive, because that's like what the song is meant. It's just meant to be this very, it face value drop into the sound of what our band is, and hopefully like it speaks to a part of you that likes something else about other music that you already like but that you can only find here. Love is interesting because Love was actually instrumentally, it had nothing to do with Infinite at first. It was in a different key, and Ryan had written it as like this could be an intro for an EP or an album, and it was just this cool thing. And I think the original key was in like B or something. It was C. Yeah, it wasn't even an A. And the Infinite's an A. And so he wrote it before we even played our first show. He's like, this could be a cool intro. He just made it in Logic, just with like pianos and synths. And I was like, oh, this is dope. Like, it reminds me of like Milo Xyloto by Coldplay, or even like the first 3 opening tracks of the 1975 record that they call the 1975 on each record. For the first 3 records, they did something like that. But it had no lyrics. And we weren't even thinking about doing lyrics. The first few times we played shows, we used that intro as like our intro. And basically we just kind of do like a build up into it with no lyrics. And it would go directly into Infinite. We'd drop and that'd be the first song. And Infinite wasn't even out yet. Then one day when we were kind of brainstorming together, I was working my old job and I was at home. Like, I was just working from home just early in the morning, and I hadn't even had my coffee yet. And I was just kind of feeling down, but I was also kind of just like thinking about like, what am I trying to say with my art right now? You know what I mean? Like, I was just kind of like, just in this weird headspace of like where the band is, where it's going, that we're still in this early phase of it. And like, now is the time to make the decisions about what we need to do artistically. And these words, I'm not joking. It's like sometimes Chris Martin often says, like, sometimes you'll spend forever, like hours trying to write songs and write lyrics. And sometimes songs, like lyrics, will just fall out of the sky, like into your head. And I wasn't even writing it for that song again, because that song was still in the key of, or we had just moved it to the key of A, so it could be our live opener to go into Infinite. But then it hit me like a ton of bricks, because I was just thinking about my life and me being a new father, my wife and I like navigating this whole world that we're trying to do with my career. And I just literally thought to myself the sentence, life is too short to squander waiting on opportunities or apologies you're owed but will never receive. And love is a currency accepted as commodity. So we forgot love once meant you mean everything to me. That became like the mantra. So I called Ryan like immediately and I was like, dude, I was like, and I would just follow me. And I sent him like, I'm pretty sure he still has it. There's a voice memo I made of like tapping, like, and I was like, imagine if we superimpose this over that and just drench it in vocoders, let it kind of be the thing. So now Love, that song, is kind of like, because it's exactly what he just said, the thesis statement. It's like, now that it's the opening track of our first EP, and it's how we open a lot of shows, not the most recent ones, but it's in the middle of the set. It's now kind of this weird guiding principle lyrically of like, if we can tether on some level there, it's like, it doesn't have to be high concept. It doesn't have to be like a universe that's like, Coheed and Cambria levels of conceptual. But if we can somehow tether the meanings of every song back to that 40 seconds of lyrics and music, then we haven't lost the plot as a band in terms of what we're trying to say. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, Love and Infinite to me is very special. Like, I feel like those 2 songs speak a great deal of what the band is, just in those 2 tracks.
So what you're saying is that from now on, every song will be in the key of A.
Yeah, that's the only key he can sing in.
It's the only key that's going to work if you keep Love as that anchor.
Get out of the key of A, and I'm tone deaf. I don't know what to do.
And by the way, before we go on to your favorite, another congratulations on another name drop Easter egg. You hit face value twice in the same conversation. You're doing really well. You're going to go for the trifecta. All right, what's yours? Tell me yours.
Yeah. So mine is definitely, I think mine's The Love I Can't Let Go. That song, to me, I I started writing that song, I think, in 2020 in Logic, and I just the DAW Logic, and I just gotten a new keyboard, and I was just trying to figure out everything, how it worked, and trying to figure out Logic, and I just kind of found this drum loop, and just kind of threw it across the track, and I just started writing to it. But I think years later, I didn't, and it took me years. I mean, I didn't touch it for years, I guess. And then I guess like 2022, 23, I started working on it again, and I was going through a pretty hard time in my life, just struggling with like alcohol stuff and addiction and all that kind of, and everything like that. And so when I sat down to like actually write the lyrics, all of this stuff kind of came out, and it ended up being like, I kind of made it about a relationship, but it's like a toxic relationship with, it's my experience with alcohol, just labeled or just kind of framed as a toxic relationship. And so for that reason, it just kind of, there's just some lines in there that hit home. I put a line in there for as a Lord of the Rings reference with like, because I love Lord of the Rings, grew up loving that stuff. But I don't know. It's just yeah.
Well, at this point, I mean, did you drop a Phil Collins reference into that song too? I mean, that seems to be an ongoing theme.
No, that's coming, and it's not gonna. It's gonna be subtle. It's just gonna be the yeah, and it'll go into something completely different.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean,
oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, you're fine. Go on. Yeah.
Oh, so you mentioned earlier, because my next question is like, what do you guys have coming up? We're at the end of the year. What is 2026 going to look like? You said you have 3 more EPs to go?
Yeah. So
can you give me a little insight into what the future holds?
Yeah, I mean, so back in 2020, we wrote a bunch of songs, and going into this EP, our idea was just like, let's put our best foot forward. So we chose this collection of songs to kind of represent the band, and just like kind of as a first big, let's try this out. And but we still have a bunch of songs that we've written that we love and we're proud of, and we're just going to kind of release them this year as an addendum to what we already have, and then just sprinkle some other stuff on top. We spent January in a snowed in at our guitar player Blake's house, and just wrote for like 3 or 4 days. It was great. And so we've got a lot more in the chamber, and just I'm really excited. Now that the ball's rolling, it's going to continue to roll, and we're just going to keep putting out stuff.
I'd also say too, like, we've been very deliberate about how, because again, we've only played a handful of shows from 2021 when shows came back after COVID eased up a little bit on the live music market. We, our first show was in July 2021, and that was at the Masquerade here in Atlanta. And since then, half of our shows have been there, and we played like 2 out-of-state shows in the Carolinas where we have friends. But what's cool is that we've been kind of selective deliberately on and strategic about what shows we take. And thankfully, we have a lot of friends who are in much bigger bands than we are who have been gracious and allowed us. They asked us to open for them. So a lot of the shows we've had, we've been able to do that and build a following around that. In addition to our own shows where we played when we sold out Smiths, or like our first show at the Mask. But what's cool is that having been deliberately strategic for 4 years almost now of playing shows, and only have played 16 shows in total with a 17th on the way, we've 17 shows now, my bad. We're waiting to announce the next one. but the idea is that as we start releasing this music, because we've only done a handful of singles up to this EP, we're just going to keep putting out a ton of music, like Ryan was saying, because we've got a lot in the chamber, but we're also going to be playing live a lot more. The idea is we're going to try to hit the road. We're going to figure out what that looks like for us, as far as like we have the availability and the means to do it. It's more just a matter of like, you know, navigating any potential offers that we get or stuff like that. So hopefully some people who like us in other states will get to see us pretty soon. But we're going to be just playing a lot more and really trying to do, you know, the thing that bands typically do, which is the thing we haven't done up to now. Up to now, we've been pretty unorthodox, where it's like we did the thing that most bands do 5 albums in, where instead of just your first album is your whole collection of everything you've ever written, we like track listed our first EP out of like 30 songs we had. You know what I mean? And so for the first time in our career as a band, our very short, you know, first paragraph of the Wikipedia formation in early years thing, we're trying to do the thing now that bands do, where they put out music a lot, they hit the road, they play a lot of shows, and then build the momentum from there. But also we're just trying to like use the internet to our advantage, because we've managed to develop a really cool organic semi-global following. It's small, it's only a few thousand people, but it's like people who listen to our music regularly, who've made it a part of their commute, a part of their day, and who they just message us and they tell us how much they love it. Like, to us, they're not just like we're not just some band of them. They like some of our music has really affected people like at a very pivotal or like dark time in their lives. And so we want to nurture that and see what that looks like. So for us, it'll be next year is going to be a lot of doing the traditional band playing live supporting music thing, but it's also going to be us kind of really experimenting with media and using social media and visual content as an extension of the art itself, trying to figure out like what does and doesn't work, and trying to figure out unorthodox ways to be like, hey, how do we make like a digital business card? Maybe we'll make a movie, who knows, you know, which I'm actually being pretty literal, we might actually do that.
well
yeah.
And, you know, Ian, I'm going to be honest with you, you just answered the next question that I had was you know, you're feeling on the business these days and overcoming some of those creative challenges in a universe of content to really stand out. So you must have stolen my notes. You must have stolen my show notes.
Yeah, I have telepathy, you know.
There you go. There you go. Well, look, I'm super excited, and if you guys get to the Dallas area, let me know, because I do concert photography. So if you need
awesome,
great photos, you let me know.
Man. I love that place, and Deep Ellum in general. Like, I love all of those venues. They're awesome.
Yeah, Deep Ellum's a great place. I can't. The number of shows I've seen there is ridiculous.
I can imagine.
So it sounds like you guys have a lot going on. I'm hoping the songs that were, you know, created during the when you guys were snowed in, that EP, maybe you name it the Blizzard Sessions.
That's a good name, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, you were saying?
Oh, you were saying that's really cool.
Dope.
That's really cool.
No, yeah. You named it for us.
Hey, you heard it here first. You heard it here first on The Hang, everybody. It's going to be next year. There'll be an EP coming out called the Blizzard Sessions.
We'll send you an invoice, or you'll send us an invoice. Yeah.
There you go. The bill's in the mail. So you know, one of the things that we like to do here, and I think this is in line with what you're trying to do with the whole focus of the band, is put good things out into the world. And although I'm not personally a bucket list kind of person, I'm a just get shit done and go do it kind of person.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. Yeah.
You know, there's we put good things out there, and sometimes they come back at us, and we get a great opportunity. And I'm always curious that if an artist had a chance, a musician had a chance to get in the studio with one other musician for one day, you can sit down and have a cup of tea. You can sit there and create together, but you get that one day, one opportunity. Who would that person be for you, and why?
So I think my answer, I've already brought him up, but I think my answer would probably still have to be Chris Martin. The dude's just a genius. Like I like, regardless of what you think about his music, the way that that man can write is just on another level. And but I think like he's just a conduit for music, it seems sometimes. So like I feel like getting in a room and just messing around with somebody like that would be unbelievable. Just one to be able to sit there and learn from somebody like that and just watch what they do and like be a fly on the wall would be crazy. But to write something like that,
y'all
would be
cool. Are also very like-minded. It seems like I think like you and him would make an interesting song together because it would bring together the things that are uniquely aspects of both of y'all separately, but it would gel really well because it's already very similar. I think you know what I mean.
Hit me up.
All right. So we've got it. If anybody out there knows Chris Martin, please make sure he sees this. Make sure you connect. You make sure you connect with Ryan. Ian, how about you? Who's yours?
I think I have so many. I think about this all the time. But I have one. Right. Mine would absolutely be Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park. He's always embodied what he's a very accessible person in general. He's got his ear to the ground with like new music. I have a friend of ours, they work in the music industry. They're techs. Some friends of ours actually work for them and it's pretty cool. But like, besides that, like I've just been fascinated with him as a creative because Linkin Park was my first favorite band. And it wasn't because of the novelty of rock bands. I didn't really get into that aspect of music until I was probably in my teens. I think it was when I was like in 4th grade up until I was about 13. I really marinated on Linkin Park's music because a lot of the music I was exposed to early on when I was younger that stuck with me more so than like, I grew up here in Atlanta. The Collective Soul is like big. My dad went to high school with them. So I listened to that music a lot in my dad's car growing up, but it didn't stick with me really. And I like that band a lot, but like what got me was my dad exposed me to a lot of really good hip hop growing up. And I just became I'm hip hop. I'm a student of that music and it's always been a part of me, both for its production value, its innovation, and all the way to like, its like social commentaries. So when I first heard Linkin Park, as a band that had like production and textures and kind of cinematic tapestries with guitar in it too. That was the first band that made me go, oh, I like this. Like I wanted to listen to that. It wasn't the novelty of how heavy and aggressive it was because I loved that too. But for a lot of people, it was just that. For me, it was like, this feels like a universe that I can get lost in. I can go for walks and listen to this music all the time. And Mike, rest in peace, Chester. He's one of my favorite vocalists of all time, like super influential on me. So not to take away from Chester at all. But before Chester was in that band, Mike was always the spearhead of that band creatively. And Mike has always been the one who said his vision for Linkin Park before it was even called that it was never intended to be a conventional rock band. And that's us too. That's exactly how we are, where it's like, we want to be a band and a band's band, but we also want to be a band that's accessible to the rest of the planet because our music is just, we're not limited to, weird orthodox rules people create about like just DIY and punk ethos. And we love DIY and punk ethos. We come from that world, but we're not like, oh, if it's got electronics or tracks or so, then it's not like real music. We're just not like that. And, Mike is just that type of person who I would just love to just pick his brain and create together. I don't know what would come out of it, but we have a lot of common language, me and him. And I look forward to the day I get to write with Mike Shinoda. Let me put it that way. I feel like that's an inevitability.
Well, if anyone knows Mike Shinoda, you've got now we've got to make Ian's dream come true. I will tell you though, guys. Now we've had a lot of Canadian artists on, right? Yeah. And they always fail the test, and a lot of them have actually been kicked out of Canada because if you're a Canadian artist, by law, you either have to choose Bryan Adams or Geddy Lee.
I knew it.
You live in the Atlanta area. And you didn't bring up Rick Beato, who is the musical mayor now. Now you're in trouble. Now you may be kicked out of Atlanta.
Yeah, no, we legally can't bring him up because our friend is the guy who is his guitar tech, who restrings his guitars at Guitar Center. Shout out Julian Challa. That's the guy Julian who played guitar in our band first. He sets up Rick's guitars, so we can't name Rick Beato in that regard.
Well, hey, as anyone who watches us knows, look, it's harder than ever to be a professional musician. They want to go on tour next year. It's not going to happen through Spotify royalties. Let's just call it what it is. So, we're big believers that you need to go out and support your artists. They play in the Atlanta area. Now go to the shows, buy merch, buy the EP. Buy the Blizzard sessions when it comes out, but support the band by purchasing their music through your available places to purchase music. Mm-hmm. That being said, we also like to share our love of music And, you know, when you're not creating music yourself, right? We're sitting here, we're just hanging out. And if you were to say to me, Scott, I've got two artists that I love listening to, and here's why. You each give me two that you're like, that's like your ear candy, right? So Ryan, let me know who are you listening to when you're not creating yourself?
Oh, I listen to, I've found myself recently going kind of back to my roots and listening to a lot of heavier stuff. And I have not, since it has come out, and since kind of before it's come out, I have not been able to really stop listening to the album I Don't Want to See You in Heaven by the Callous Daoboys. And it's an unreal album. Just they're friends of ours, but like
We worked on their
and
second
we
record
worked
with our producer Corey.
yeah, and but this album it was them and our friend Dom Maduri, who we brought up previously, who owns Toast and Jam Studios. But the album is just they're like a chaotic like metalcore band, like, but I mean that doesn't do them justice. I think just because there's so much more than that. They've got catchy choruses, but you never know what to expect from them. Like there's no other band like the Callous Daoboys, and what a name.
You have equal moments where the record will deviate from being like the heaviest thing you've ever heard to like borderline Smashing Pumpkins acoustic, like, and it has like some of the most devastating lyricism. Our friend Carson, who like is the principal vocalist and spearheads the creative writing of that band, he's a musical genius. Like, I'll call it what it is. I mean, he's been that way since he was a kid. I've known him since he was a teenager, and way before their band blew. I think I booked their 7th show ever when they were a not good local band, and now they're huge. You know, they, like I said earlier, they just got back from Europe, but they're still on their come up. They're about to do their first headlining tour in the U.S. So if you are into that kind of music at all, go see this show.
They're insane live.
You're
not
doing
ready.
yourself a disservice by not going to the show.
And then another band, I mean, I've got, they just put out an EP too, so I can, not even to shout them out, I just genuinely love their music. But our friends in this band called Stay Here, from here, they just put out an EP. What is it called? It's called Bad Times. Bad Times, that's right.
Same guy, Julian, who we were talking about, who played guitar for us for a little bit, and then he's the guitar tech at Guitar Center for Rick Beato. It's his band. Yeah,
they're just like I just call them rock. They're a great band, and they're a band's band. And their new EP, they've got these two. There's 2 songs on it that I love. It's called Slow, God's Gift and Slow Motion. Yeah. And those songs are just they're incredible. Yeah. Super catchy, just across the board.
Badass rock.
Yeah,
But it's beautiful music. Like, they go from being so heavy to so pretty, so fast,
so quickly. Yeah, super talented.
Cool.
Guys.
Yeah, we love
awesome.
those guys.
All right, Ian, who are yours?
Well, he took our 2 best friends in Atlanta's bands, so I'm going to do some not local ones. They've got new music coming out. I've been jamming, and I've shouted them out on podcasts before, but I would be remiss if I did not shout out a band called PH Ling, and it's written P.H.0. They're a smaller band from Brooklyn, New York. They're good friends of ours that we made through the internet because the Spotify algorithms blessed another friend of ours and showed shout out Ian, different producer named Ian who also looks like he could be related to me. But he showed me them, and it was like 2023. They released an album called Karma that they self-produced. I don't know how to put it other than they branded themselves an Eastern Asian cyber metal collective is how they call themselves. But it is the most beautiful, intense, cinematic, heavy music I've ever. It's mostly instrumental. Sometimes they have vocalists, but there's a girl in the band named Chi who plays an erhu, like that 2-stringed Asian instrument, and it's beautiful. The way that they incorporate that as an element of the sound, and also the performance, they all wear outfits. They like play these heavy guitars, but they have these synths and drums. It's like drum and bass music that's really heavy. It gets very conceptual at parts where they have like a very dark club beat with this like very dystopian like speech going over the top, talking about the future. And it's such, for as abrasive music as it can be, it's so easy listening. It's a perfect driving record. But they have new music coming out soon. If you like music at all, you will like them. I know that it's weird when I say Eastern Asian cyber metal collective. People are like, oh, so it's like really niche. Weirdly enough, it's not. It's the coolest music in the world, and it's so stimulating to my brain as a producer. Like, it gives me so many ideas. There's just such an inspiring band. Like, shout out everyone in that band, Pierre, Howard, and Chi, and everybody. Like, I haven't yet to meet them. I was on tour earlier this year with a different band who I'm going to name in a second, at the same time that they came to Charlotte, North Carolina, which is the closest venue they played. And I was like, I'm literally on tour right now. I was like, you guys can't. I was like, I would have driven to your show 3 hours away if I, they're incredible. But I cannot sing their praises enough. They're so original, so humble, and so kind. And they are going to be, mark my words, they're going to be a massive band. They're catching on the internet right now. When they pop, everyone in the world is going to know about that band because they're going to get some crazy opportunities. The other band I would shout out is the band that I tour in and I will say this because I'm not the principal writer of that band. And long before I was their touring guitarist, I was, just a fan because I was a massive fan. So much so that their album they released in 2021 was my album of the year, topped Coldplay and Porter Robinson for me, which were like my two favorite records that year. So I can confidently say that this band is like a band people should know about because weirdly enough, they have so many fans, but they're not well known on purpose. They're called Adjy. And it's written Adjy. They're like an indie, like chamber pop collective is how the internet describes them. I call it storybook music. They were like, it's awesome because they like when we tour, it's like we have 6 instrumentalists. We have more bells and glockenspiels than we have guitars on stage. There's a lot.
Wait. Glockenspiel.
Yeah.
You know what? All right, I'm going to give you one to check out real quick then. If you're a big Glockenspiel fan, the Exploding Flowers, Sharif Dumani's band out in LA, Happy plays Glockenspiel on their albums. So,
that's awesome.
And it's not every day we discuss, pop, rock, alt, anything, and you hear a Glockenspiel in some.
We have it in art. We use it live too. Like that's the thing. We've largely that we're very much of that mindset. But yeah, Adjy rules, man. They're they were signed to Triple Crown Records before it folded. Triple Crown was the label that had bands like Brand New, Hit the Lights, all the way to more alt bands like Foxing from Indian Lakes, Kevin Devine, Bad Books, and Adjy was always I'd say the least known band on the label because they deliberately have no social media presence. They deliberately have no Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, but they have a mailing list and a Patreon they operate with. But they've done all these cool support tours for like the Appleseed cast and Pinegrove and like Mitski at one point. And so all these people discovered them because of they saw them with The World Is a Beautiful Place or Foxing or bands like that. And what I loved is that Adjy is very true to their belief of like how they operate, trying to separate art from like from it having a collective face. And my friend Chris which I love that I can call him my friend now because I used to just admire him as a songwriter. Like he's the front man and principal songwriter. He writes and composes all the music, and he basically just amasses a band to work with. But he's lived all over. The band is like equally from Florida as it is based in Tennessee, as it was in North Carolina. There's people in Texas. I live in Atlanta. They always say they're loosely based in the Appalachia region. So people are always like, where do I find this band? And so what's cool though is that there's a Discord server of theirs that they don't run. It's completely fan run. It has like UK fans, people who order merch and stuff. And it's just because they operate via Patreon and mailing list. So the people who know, like they're tapped in and they know, but not enough people know who Adjy is. And when we tour, I'm not joking. Like we just did a tour this summer. I'm going out with them in October again. Every single show, there was at least a handful of people, like 4 or 5 people who road tripped from other states or flew to see them at these little club shows. And so, but that being said, I'd be remiss to never plug Adjy because despite the fact that I'm playing that band, I think more and more people should listen to the record, The Idol Opus. It will change your life. It is one of the greatest records. It's like a feat of man. I can't believe that record exists. It has a hardcover book component. It's insane.
I will check it out. And if you guys are coming to Dallas, you let me know. I'll show up with cameras in hand.
So, I think we're planning on it next year. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Guys, this has been a great look. If you've spent the time with us and we've hit this point and you're not in love with a band called Love yet, what are you waiting for? I mean, don't miss out. These guys are going to be huge. If you live in the Atlanta area, you got to get out there, support them, buy their current EP, buy their future EPs, support them, and make this dream come true for them. Guys, this has been incredible. We're gonna do this again after the next 3 come out. All right.
Yes, I would
especially
love
after especially after the Blizzard sessions, and we'll get the whole band together, because it'll be like a therapy session. We will do that.
Yeah,
we'll get everybody together in a room with our emotional support band, and we will do that together. But guys, I appreciate you making time for us today. Everybody who's hanging with us, please, as we always tell you, support them, support the artists that appear here. We're trying to do something very different and unique. Just have conversations and memorialize stories and make it a lot of fun. So guys, I appreciate you making time today, and I look forward to when we do this again. So thanks everybody for hanging. Thanks for hanging with us, guys. It's good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Scott. Thank you.
All right. You take it easy. Be safe. Be safe out in the world, everybody. We'll see you soon.